Here we go. Hello. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming out to the Ramada Inn's first, I'm telling you, the very first timeshare for Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah! I mean, I'm so excited to tell you about the amenities. I am so excited for all of you. Wait a minute. That guy. I'm looking around here. I don't think the median age is 90 and over, so you must be here for the Unexpected Mentors podcast. First live view. Come on, give it up. There it is. No, I said give it up. Let's go. Hootin', hollering. That guy in the back knows what I'm talking about. Excellent. Hi, I'm Joe. Friend of the pods, longtime friend of Dan's, and employee emeritus from SLG Publishing. Have you heard of it? I don't know. Just give it up for a little SLG action. There it is. This is really an awesome thing to be here tonight. When I first met Dan, I was 19 years old, and I lived in a little house with like my buddies who were in the back. Scott over there. Scott! There we go. We got Haskett, Johnny Brinkworth. And I met Dan, and I wasn't looking for a job, but I met Dan, and he had a position open up in SLG Publishing, and he said, hey, how about you come by tomorrow, and, I got some work for you. I said, sure. And he's like, wear clothes you can get dirty. And I was like, okay, what are we doing? He's like, we just got to move a lot of stuff. So I talked to him, and over like a handshake and a chicken wing, I met him the next day, and we cleaned out it was like a public storage facility, of just comic books and stuff Dan wanted to sell. And I didn't know then how important he was going to be in my life. Another bit of advice Dan gave me, or, something Dan shared with me, he's like, I'm going to yell at you. I'm going to yell at you, but that doesn't mean I don't like you. And I took that, and I said, okay, well, what am I going to expect here? And sure enough, throughout the years, Dan has yelled at me. I have messed up several things, but he's always been forgiving and understanding of like, hey, we all make mistakes, right? And so to listen to him and Emily talk on the podcast, and, it really always brings me back to my time when I, would work in the order department, and I would work with Dan. And, if we had microphones, and back then we would have had our own podcast, a lot more swearing than what's going on in this one. But it's really nice, and it's really wonderful to be here and listen to them talk. And another friend of mine once said, listening to Dan's podcast is sitting down with him at Sunday dinner. And, you just get these pearls of wisdom, and you get these things. You're like, that's right. And I haven't thought about things like that. And just being able to be part of a conversation and maybe be part of something bigger than you sometimes is just nice to listen to. So I just wanted to say that this is amazing that this is happening tonight. And then you were all amazing for being here today. So thank you very much. But I think that's my time. So without further ado, let's bring up Dan Votto, Emily Parent for the Unexpected Mentor Live Podcast. Oh my God! Roy's applause! Here we go.
Joe Nakamura, everybody. Let's hear it for Joe. That was a little bit. Let's hear it for Joe. What the fuck is the matter with everybody? Let's get going. Oh, look, Joe's right here. He's like, we're living in the past.
Fabulous Joe, who's been an integral part of this podcast from the beginning, as I'm sure you've heard every single week. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing, Emily?
Oh, my God. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Dan Votto of SLG Publishing and the Art Boutique.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
That's me. I'll be doing better in a second.
This really brings me back to that first time we met.
What?
that first time when I really wanted your validation.
Huh?
I similarly want your validation right now in this moment in front of this whole audience.
Did you get it then?
No.
Are you expecting it now?
It would not be unexpected.
That wasn't funny.
Oh my gosh. Hi, my friends. How are you doing?
How's it going? Big hand for Emily. We have a story to tell. This whole thing is about telling a story. But the first thing is like everybody loves us because loves us. I don't think everybody
loves us, right?
Everybody loves us. Everybody loves us. Everybody loves us from at 1 minute at a time because we're so insufferable. That really, that's the minute that you see on Instagram is probably about the best you're going to get from either one of us when we're in the same room together. How's that? But so well, I'm sorry.
Well, fabulous! It's actually been about a minute right now, so this is great.
Good night, everybody. There you go. We started out this thing. We started doing these things. So I think that we're going to start by telling people what's happening at the Art Boutique next week. What's happening at the Art Boutique next week?
Oh,
Nothing.
Nothing. It's 4th of July.
Oh yeah, we're closed.
This
so
is
there
terrible.
You go.
This is a terrible setup.
You have notes. Go. Let's go.
My friends. So here's what you can expect. We're going to be up here for about an hour. We're going to talk you through probably for about 40 minutes. A loose agenda of things. We try not to script anything because we've learned early on that if we script something, it sucks. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk to you about
my notes.
We are going to talk to you about creativity, and we're going to talk to you about storytelling. We're going to talk to you about the process of making something out of nothing.
And then there's going to be some anger and yelling, followed by question and answer.
I do have on the docket harassment and bits.
Yeah.
So you can look forward to all of that. And the end, we are going to have a little Q&A. So if you have some cues that you want aid, start queuing them up.
Aid? Okay. It's very good. Okay. So thank you very much. And
who's heckling? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
there you go.
Okay, those are some good heckles.
Okay, hang on. So I think where we had decided to start with is we're at the beginning. So why don't you tell everybody how we met?
So hi, my name is Emily Parent. I don't own the Art Boutique, and I was not there for SLG Publishing as I was in the 3rd grade at the time. But I am a creative person. I am an artist.
This might end sooner than you think.
The last episode ever.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming. Yeah.
So this whole story started about a year ago. Actually, a year and like 6 days ago.
Sure.
I had been working in Silicon Valley. I had been doing the 9 to 5 kind of grind, and I'd been trying to build my way up the hierarchical ladder of the corporate world. And sort of out of nowhere, I lost the job, and I realized I had spent my whole 20s doing something that I wasn't even that passionate about. So I embarked on a summer-long journey, 90 days, to write, publish, print, and sell a book, which was crazy. And I actually don't recommend, if anyone's thinking about doing that, I don't recommend doing it, because you spend more time focusing on the printing and the publishing than you do on the actual content. But there I was after 90 days with the book in hand, and I walked into the Art Boutique, knowing this was a comic book and knowing that there were in fact comics inside of my book. And standing in the middle of the comic shop was this grumpy dude. It was my worst nightmare. I really wanted like a super young guy, like somebody who looked kind of cheerful and fun and be like, "Yeah, we'd love to stock your book." But there was Dan Votto.
Yeah.
And he looked unhappy to see me. As you know, Dan does just about everything here.
What? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
We don't usually do this in front of an audience, by the way.
Yeah.
So, and
actually, it's quite funny that this was my idea. So if it turns into a shit show, you can blame me. That's number one. Go ahead. This man's worked with me. He knows. Yeah, there you go. He knows. I make gold out of a shit show sometimes. So you never know. So that's number one. It was my idea. Number two, when we do this during the week, I usually make everybody leave.
Right, yeah. Actually, if you're standing in this room and we try to make a podcast, we shoo you out. We give you mean looks. So this is quite special that you get
She gives you the mean looks. I just ask people to go.
Yeah, this is my mean look.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to strike fear in everybody. Continue with your story.
Yeah, I'm telling a story,
fascinated.
Dan.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
So actually, the thing is that if we amble and if we do little tangents, that's part of our process. You hear the kind of tight 30-minute cut in our
This is how the
podcast.
sausage is made.
Yeah, but usually we talk for about an hour and 20 minutes, and we go off, and Dan will describe an episode of Mad Men, and then he'll tell me about sports, and I'll be like, I love sports. But at the end of the day,
That's true.
we get sort of the meat of the conversation condensed down to that 30-minute conversation about creativity. So we're actually giving the job to Joe that if we go off a little too far on a tangent, just heckle us back to the point.
Yeah.
Got it?
Thank you. How are we doing? How are we doing? Everybody. It's all right.
Dan Votto asking for validation. Everybody validate Dan really quick. Tell him he looks good. Tell him he's smart. Tell him he's doing good.
Yeah, there's a lot of grinding, Joe.
No grinding at the art
seen it.
boutique. Geez.
Oh, it's not that. Are we explicit? Can I say? Is this fuck approved?
This is fuck approved.
Okay, so I'm going to drop F-bombs. Anybody that's real sensitive should leave. Nobody's leaving. All right, well,
Good.
Anyways, continue with the story.
Okay, so there was Dan Votto, unhappy to see Emily parent, which became a theme in our life. And the thing was, I didn't actually think I'd get that far when I walked into the room, and I was like, hello, sir. You would like to buy my book. I would like to sell you my book. Money will happen into my pocket right now. Thank you, please. And he did not like that. He said, go away, please.
I didn't say that.
Well, you gave me that look. You were kind of conjuring it away.
I just made you leave.
No. So
I
here's
went,
the thing. As I was being sort of telepathically showed the door,
Sure.
as the conversation was being dialed
It's very
down,
true.
I dropped the act and I said, I've actually never done this before. And I don't know what I'm doing.
Which was a parent.
A parent.
Oh, no. God.
And I asked him if he had any advice. What'd you tell me?
Other than leave? Other than please don't bother me?
No.
I mean,
At that point, I thawed your cold heart.
Yeah. Really? Okay. What did I say? I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
You brought me into here from
Oh, yes,
out there.
I did. I brought you in here.
And we sat down. Mm-hmm. And
I said, don't waste people's time.
Yes, you told me have the book in hand. Don't
Yeah.
waste people's time.
Yeah.
And you told me to be more prepared.
Yes.
And then you told me a little bit about your work as a creative, and that you said that you'd worked with a lot of creative people. Mm-hmm. And you told me that you thought that I had that spark.
I said that then?
You did. You said, I don't even think you need me.
No, I think I said I can't do anything for you. I think there's kind of a difference.
All right, Dan.
I can't help you. This is like whatever. I can't add anything to this equation is one of my favorite expressions too.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you remember it?
It's pretty much just like I said. You came in, you showed me this strange plea for help.
That was
and then I sat down and I'm like, well, I don't know if I can help you, but here's the deal. Guy that owns a business is a limited amount of time in a day. And you're here and we got a show coming in and you got a pitch, but it's not a real pitch. You're not telling me anything. I don't even know how much this book costs. And why do I want it? Oh, it's poetry? Oh yeah, this is going to fit real well here. I think I mocked her for a good 5 minutes, and that was just out of my own just sheer enjoyment. And I was just hoping she would leave and never come back. And then she came back the next day, I think it was, or like a week later, a few days later.
Something like that.
Yeah, and she had left me the book, and she said, "What did you think of the book?" And I said, "Yeah, it's not for me." Just something like that. I was like, I can tell you put a lot of work into it. It looks really nice, but it's not for me. But we'll carry it. And so, we bought a few copies, and then she left, and I thought I'd never see her again. She came back. I'm like, this is like a rash. What the fuck? You can't. What do you want now? It's like, I haven't sold any. Right?
No.
And she said, I want to do a podcast with you. I'm like, what? Okay. And then she was selling me herself on her social media abilities, which is then when I did kind of look and see what she was doing. I was like, oh, she seems to know what she's doing. We could definitely use some help in that area. And she came up with the whole idea of the little 1-minute things that are on Instagram. And we sat down, we started talking. Unlike now, we seem to have this kind of weird chemistry. It kind of worked. And the things, I don't want to say they're not viral, but like thousands of people watch those stupid things, and they're never coming here because they're in like Abu Dhabi or someplace. The guy's probably watching right now. I think I don't know. There was another faraway place. I can't remember. Anyways, so and she asked me to be on a podcast. I went, okay. This is kind of what I do. And she came and we talked into a mic for a little while. Then she left, and I was like, well, that didn't go well. So I'll never see her again. And she kept coming back. I was like, what do you want now? I was like, we're doing another one? Jesus, whatever. Okay. So we just kept going at it. And she kept kind of giving me things to think about. And so if anybody doesn't know, I published comic books for a very long time. You know. A bunch of you guys know. There are people who know. There are people who know. And you're here. And I had decided that for whatever reason that part of me was kind of dead. And then because of Emily, I realized I still kind of liked it. And yeah. And how do you jump to that? It's like the worst thing in the world to do, and you're jumping right at it. Let's go. Oh, you haven't seen the Boneyard in a while. The Boneyard's the van we used to drive down in, and it's on 3 completely deflated tires. And I don't think there's. I think we got one good one. There's no catalytic converter. I'm pretty goddamn sure of that. And
Joe Nakamura, you're supposed to keep us on track.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Anyways. Anyways, it got me really invested. She got me really invested in my own past and the things that I had done. And I was like, yeah, I have a little bit to be proud of, I guess. And so we started talking about living a creative life, and that's kind of where the podcast came from. And a lot of it is just, literally what we just talked about before, which is that what you're here, in that thing which is the unexpected mentor. You put the thing here, Sarah, so people know what that is. You go to unexpectedmentor.com.
Shout out to Sarah running the live stream.
Shout out to the whole crew. Thank you very much. Not the crew I trained for this, but there you go. Anyways, but this is a very SLG thing to do. Is like, we're going to do this thing. How do you do this thing? And it was my idea. So at any rate,
you were talking about how special I was. No. I think you were saying that you'd given up on life, right? And then you met Emily Parent.
Yeah. I was stocking up on razor blades, and then Emily walked into my life, and suddenly I have meaning. That's what we want. You want to hear that? Is that what you want to hear?
As the editor, by the way, that razor blade thing is something I would have cut out.
Yeah.
This is live.
For sure. For sure. But it got to me to, as we started doing it, and we kind of argued a bit. But it got me to thinking about, maybe I had something to offer to people who were venturing to be creative for a living, or just being creative in general, and then started getting really militant and angry and feeling like everybody needed to be creative because it's the only way we have to really speak our minds. And that's what the podcast is sort of turning into, I think. And this whole thing is kind of a proof of concept that we're going to we don't know what we're doing, but here we are. We're splashed out here. Like there's a bunch of people watching us on Instagram, and a bunch of people watching us on YouTube.
Bunch of people here in this room, too.
Yeah. And the thing about it is like I guess if I were going to say anything about you, Emily, is that what you're looking for, validation?
What were you gonna say? Just
You're looking for me to say something nice about you.
if there's anything nice to say, you can say it.
I will struggle to come up with the nice thing to say, which is like, this has been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And I listen to these things, I go, who's that intelligent person that's speaking? And can't possibly be me. But Emily goes through and finds the maybe two things I say that sound reasonably well informed out of 2 hours of just babble, and then we drink, and then she edits it and it's out there, and I don't appreciate it. So there you go. Thank you very much for all your help. But yeah, we were talking about your book about Butterfly Net. So. Or did we talk about that already?
I told them about it.
Oh, you did?
You guys, you've heard about that, right? You heard extensively about that book.
Yeah.
Truly, 74 pages. What more can you say about it at this point?
Yeah, it's poetry, and I don't read poetry.
Thank you for reading it.
I did. It's funny because I read it, and I was like, it's not for me. And then we did the podcast together. I'm going to give that a second chance. And I read it, and it was still not for me. That's not to say that there wasn't like good stuff in it. I just felt like, can I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
The honest assessment I had is like you had real stories in there, and you covered them up in iambic pentameter.
That was a wonderful use of the phrase iambic pentameter.
Was it the correct use?
Well, some of them were freeform, but I wouldn't expect you to.
At any rate, I know, because you have a degree from a real college, and I never graduated, so there you have it. But that was my big thing. So if I never said that, because I think it's very famous that I didn't like your book.
Everybody knows that at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Is anybody under the impression that Dan liked my book? Oh, thank you. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Hat in the front row.
Yes. He said similar things about my comics and published them.
You didn't even publish me, Dan.
No. Don't go there. That's not even remotely true, pal. You are being mean. What the fuck, man? Jesus. You came from a long way just to be mean to me. Oh, yeah, look at him. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Matthew Ritter, everybody. Let's give him a big hand. I'm sure we'll be hearing from him later in the show.
All right, we're talking about SLG. For the uninitiated, can you give us a little, what is that? What are we talking about when we say SLG?
It's a comic book publishing company. Some of them are on sale out in the thing. You can buy them, help support this man and the people who drew their books. But yeah, what else you want me to say?
Well, is it a big corporation or
no? You're looking at it.
You're a little indie guy.
You're looking at this. Me. It was me. It was Joe. It was Chris Haskett back there. Where is he? So if I have a superpower, it's the ability to lead reasonably sane, normal people down a path that has no potential real reward. It's like, we're doing this thing, let's go. And it's like, oh, we're on it. It's like, give up 2 weeks of your summer to go to Comic-Con every fucking year. Sure, we're going to do that. Anyways. We published some cool stuff. We published some not cool stuff. Which one was yours, Matt? I don't remember.
Nova Fate.
Nova Fate. No. Was it cool or not? I remember the name.
Oh, it's the coolest comic you've
Cool.
ever
It actually was. And you know what? Here's the thing. Because the whole thing we were going to talk about was like, hey, the title of this thing is make something out of nothing, but do what you believe. If I remember correctly, Matt, like your comic, no, I do remember this. Your comic's drawn like an 8-bit video game. And it was a really fucking good story. And when you came to me, you said, there were a lot of people who wanted to publish it, but no one was willing to do the 8-bit pixel art. And I go, well, they're stupid. They were dumb because it was cool. Of course, only one issue came out. So
4 issues.
Did 4 issues come out?
4 issues came out, my friend.
Holy shit.
Dan, you published that.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. How about that? Anyways, so yeah.
What about Patty Cake? Scott Roberts.
We're not going there, man.
Joe Nakamura reminded me of the job.
No. Let's say we're just ignoring him now. That's not even a subject we want to talk about, Joe.
Who would now like the job of heckling to keep us on track?
Nope. What?
Joe is being demoted.
Joe's stay on track. Sure. Okay. It's all good. Anyways.
All right, Dan.
What?
Let's get back on this.
Yeah, let's get back on it.
The thing about creativity. Let's back the train up.
What?
Creativity.
You're mocking me. Okay, wait a minute. I know she's dying to do this. She knows like 7 or 8 expressions that apparently I run into the ground because this young woman has the unfortunate luck of having to listen to me for hours and hours on end, like over and over again sometimes because she's editing these things. Go ahead. You're dying to do this. Go ahead. Give him the Dan Vados. Go ahead.
My favorite Dan Votto is when he goes, at any rate.
I do say that.
Let's back the train up. And those little what have yous.
Got anything else?
Dan, let's talk about creativity.
No, there's one more. I know you got it loaded up.
Dan, we're live.
Oh, we're live. That is true. We are indeed live.
So these little podcasts we make,
These little podcasts.
these little videos we make, the
Yeah.
things that the people are just dying for.
Yeah.
What's the process like?
The 1 minute things?
The everything. What is
So,
the creative process here
The
between Dan
creative
and Emily?
process is that you come in late and you set up your cameras, you take my phone, and then I feel naked because I don't have my phone. But then it's always our process is always interrupted by like every spam call that you can imagine. Like apparently, like everyone wants to either loan me money.
No, I've started putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, so that's why that doesn't happen anymore.
Oh, there you go. Anyways, yeah, and then as what happened last week, we got all set up and we sat there and go like, I don't even know what's happening next week. And then we go and then we sit around and we chat about what's happening, and then we do it over and over again. And this is like. She's writing right in front of me, and I can see what's going on. I can see the little hamster going at full speed in there, like no, you need to say that over, but with more emphasis on the word "the." And I'm like, what? And so it goes on and on like that, and then it's about as exciting as I just made it sound. But then somewhere in there, and we'll go on maybe like what 15, 20 minutes, something like that, going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Up to 40.
Up to 40, and she'll come in the next week. Like, can we please not do 40 minutes on what's happening next week? I'm like, no promises. But then, and then she sends it to me, somewhere between Sunday evening and Tuesday afternoon, and I just go, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, that's great. That's actually pretty funny. You did a good job," and she does a really good job. And hopefully there are people that are seeing this. It's like understanding. People come to me, he's like, "Oh, those are great." I'm like, I don't really do anything. I just sit around, and she bothers me until I just yell at her, and then suddenly there's genius. So the genius is all in what she's done, and so that's really cool. Sorry, you're searching for validation. I'm giving it to you. What are you doing? What does that mean? What are you doing? So,
but when we get back to the idea of making, sorry, I'm talking to my mic. When we get back to the idea of making something out of nothing,
right.
We really aren't doing
that
anything.
Was literally something out of nothing.
First of all, yes, we walked in,
Yeah.
and you were not convinced at all that anything we were making was going to be impactful. Every single podcast episode that we made, you were like, no one's going to listen to that. Who could possibly get anything out of that?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we would sit down, and we would find these messages in the episode that kind of spoke to not just like what it was like to live as a creative in the present day, but what are the elements of creativity that never change, even as the mediums continue to change. You were doing ink and paper and stamps and mail and envelopes and envelope licking and stuff like that.
I don't lick.
And by the time...
Who licks an envelope?
I don't know what the 90s was like.
Yeah, no. Apparently not. All right.
But by the time I was making something for public consumption, it was all about making a brand on the internet, on Instagram primarily.
Yeah.
It was about using tools that were available. You could pay somebody to get published, which is how it's a self-publishing tool, as opposed to having to pitch and bid to corporate entities or big publishing houses to get your story out there. Everything was putting your hands on yourself in the internet, which means that everybody had access to the tools that were making things so widespread, which has sort of led to this element of dilution in the current creative landscape, right? If you want to make anything, everybody is doing everything. How do you get yourself heard and seen? It's so different from the way you were doing it, but at the end of the day, the rules of creativity are the same.
They are basically, yeah. We talk about a lot of things. You know, it's really interesting. All those podcast things have a title and a theme, but they don't start. There's only one where I actually worked from actual notes, which is the one about like if you were going to start a business, and I had that. Otherwise, it's sort of like we just kind of rambled into a conversation and got to a point, and then as what this is going to end here in my notes, I got right here. Anger and yelling followed by question and answer. So when I start yelling, just start getting your questions ready. But yeah, this is like they just kind of sort of worked around the idea of the things I've seen, you know, creative people do, you know, as they try to venture forth. Being a creative professional is different from being just an artist. Like if you're an artist of any sort, let's just say, let's pick on musicians because it's a music venue. You can play your guitar and you can go sit on a corner and put a hat out, or not even, just sit on a corner and play a guitar, and that's fine. Are you trying to make a living? Probably not, but you could possibly make a living. At some point, anybody that creates wants to make money from their creation. I don't think it's even because of the money. I think it's just because they're seeking, like if you buy somebody's music or their book or their piece of art or their comic book or whatever it might be, you're validating that they did a good job. And honestly, at the end of the day, that's all anybody that's doing anything, that's all they want. Is just like, tell me I'm doing a good job. And tell me that by giving me like $12 or whatever it might be, you know. So it's that, you know. It's sort of like people are screaming. They need to hear from the artist within everybody, because I think everybody has it. And Emily comes along and says, "Here, stick a microphone in your face and talk about that." I'm like, I don't want to. And I did. And I'm very happy. And now we're doing this. Here we are. How we doing? What else? Where am I? I don't even know. We had notes. There's things. She's got a thing here. I got a thing here. It's all fucked 6 ways to Friday.
No, I think that's actually a very salient point that you make about when we are creating, when we're presenting something to an audience, there's an inherent relationship with the audience. We're asking, am I doing good? Right? Sort of, yeah. I mean, so the one thing where I said, don't go looking for validation, because you're never going to get it, especially if you're looking for that from me. Pity my poor children. You know, I'm going to give a shout out to my kids. Number one is Dustin back there, who I will tell you probably less than 6 hours ago had no intention of even being here. And he's like, "Dad, you're going to fuck this up, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah. Could you show up?" Because everybody else is like, one guy's got a gig and I don't really even know what I'm doing anymore. So thank you to Dustin, because if you ever have kids in life, you want one like that who will help you out and then tell you you are stupid while they're doing it. I'm going to fix this for you. I used to do that with my dad, but he just told me you could move out. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not doing that, so please keep the carbonara coming. And then my other son, Dylan Votto, who I'm going to thank. If you heard the music that we walked up to, he composed that. And, you know, I would like to say, that they both are, Dylan gets all the cred for being, you know, the artist, because he puts himself out that way, and I respect that. But Dustin back there has got the artist soul as well, and he put on a show here
a year or two ago or whatever that was just an electronic music show. He's like, I'm going to do this show. I'm like, sure, why not? Yeah, okay. And I just sat and watched this thing and just like, wow, that was fucking awesome. And then he's like, okay, I'm done. Never doing it again. I'm
Dan,
like,
can I ask you a question?
Huh? What?
Do you see an externalization of yourself as an artist through your artist children?
What are you asking that for? What? What was the question again? Do I see what?
Do you feel an artistic satisfaction watching your kids grow up as artists?
No, I'm a parent. I have that pride. Well, yeah, a little bit, but when your kids are doing good, the funny thing is that like my parents never understood. I mean, I'm an immigrant son. I'm a first generation American. They were from Italy. And, they never really quite got it. But the funny thing, and we talked about this a while ago, it's like my dad could have stopped me in my tracks. He's like, you want to do this stuff? Great. Move out. Pay your own rent. Buy your own food. Didn't do that. He just said, like, I don't get this. It's like, you don't have to. And then he started making money. He's like, oh, hey, this worked out. That's pretty good.
I've heard this story a couple times before, and my response has grown since then, and it's turned into sort of amusing on if, like, you look around you at this space, right? You know what I'm going to say now.
What?
Here we are at the RPT. This is a place where musicians who are still growing...
Or come to die.
Musicians who are still growing, they maybe get their first big gig with a big audience with people they've never seen before. SLG Publishing, that was where a lot of first-time indie creators were able to step in and see their names in print for the first time. And so when Dan tells me the story about how his father could have stopped his creative life at any time, and he didn't, what I see is a reflection...
I just said that. I literally just said that.
What I see, Dan Votto,
okay.
is a reflection in, that's what you do when you turn around to the artists of San Jose, right? You built this stage. You put this roof over their head.
No, now I'm more like, is anyone coming to your show? Like, really? This is not a nonprofit. We're not getting government
Dan
money
chronically
here.
cannot take a compliment. Dan, I see a couple of
Are
artists.
you clapping, Joe? Was that you?
I see a couple of artists out here in the
I did not
audience.
pour enough of this stuff for myself tonight.
This is the place where you give
Whatever.
a lot of people their first start, including me, right? I was a girl who walked in the door with a self-published book, and you helped me build something bigger than myself.
Yeah, not yet, but we're getting there.
Well, I don't know. Look at all
Here's
these
the
people
thing,
here to see Dan and Emily.
You are right. I think they're here to see Emily. Let's give her a big hand. I have my own mic. Thank you very much. You don't need to say more good things. You don't need to do that. No, I'm serious. Emily has been. It's been an interesting time, and it was. I just dragged her to Oxnard to interview a friend of mine, Scott Saavedra. This is kind of heavy, so. I thought, well, we're just going to like talk about old times, and we're going to talk about some stuff. And he goes going through some health stuff. And I'm going to feel free to say this because it's going to be in an episode of the podcast. But during our recording, he revealed that he had stage 4 cancer. And I kind of died. I think I checked out for like a good 45 minutes. And Emily handled it the rest of the way. And that's an important story to tell because, and we're going to, and we'll be telling it. Unfortunately, she has 3 hours worth of shit to go through. But it's an important story to tell because because he also had a kidney issue. He needed a kidney transplant. He had a rare kidney disease passed on by his dad. He's got 6 brothers and sisters. So 7 kids, 6 of them have this. He's got 2 kids, both of them have it. And the only cure is a transplant. And so he said, like, suddenly when I got my new kidney, I felt creative again, and I wanted to just do all this stuff. And then I got cancer. Wow, I'm bringing the room down. I'm sorry. But at any rate, it is peaks and valleys. But this is like in that moment, and when I kind of rejoined the conversation, and I looked around the room, and I was watching Emily conduct the rest of the interview, because I was I was not there, right? I was just kind of like, whatever. I was like, I can't even think about this right now. I was like, wow, this is kind of what we were put here to do. I think that's what that walking in the front door. Sometimes you have to look at those opportunities and that come up, that happen, and I'm like, oh, yeah. That's the way comic publishing happened for me, and that's the way everything. I mean, I read comics because I couldn't read. As I was my first language was Italian, and my parents gave me comic books because I would look at them, and then suddenly I was reading, and there you go. This is like it turned me into a tard, but whatever. Made me publish other people's work, this guy's included. But what am I talking about? Am I off on a tangent? Anyways, what I'm trying to say, yeah, Joe, you're supposed to get me back in line here. Oh, you like that story? Okay. At any rate, it's like it's one of those things, and I can transition into my other thing. I was like, are you okay?
Hi.
How's it going? Oh, I'm talking, and this is kind of what we do. It's just like, I start talking, I'm like endlessly, and I'm like, and she's like, I gotta go. And I'm like, no, really.
What was in your notes again?
Anger and yelling followed by a Q&A, but we're not at the anger and yelling at part. I think I'm going to lead into Subway Takes got that guy elected.
I'm
just saying is that the power of this thing is like what's happening with this thing is like maybe only a few hundred people are watching. Actually, a fair number.
How many?
Fair number. Oh, no video. Oh, hooray, video. Okay, never mind. So I'm a little behind on keeping up. Yeah, Daniel Gers, way to go, Gigs. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you got the video. What are you watching on?
Hey, look, what's in your notes?
You're watching on the YouTubes. Huh?
What's in your notes? What's next?
Subway Takes got that guy elected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, the power of this particular thing became apparent. Because hang on, I'm being serious. Hang on, because the rest of it was bullshit. But now, what was this guy's name?
Zohar Mamdani.
Yeah. We got the New York City, yeah, right on, right? So let's give him a big hand. Here's a guy who's an immigrant, naturalized American, won the New York City Democratic primary for mayor, right? He's a socialist. He's a leftist. He's brown. I don't know which flavor, but he's brown. He's a Muslim. He's that flavor. And Emily's like, I would edit this out. But you're a flavor. You're nondescript. There you go. But the thing about the point of it is that this guy was like doing the social media thing, and then 2 days before the election, he winds up on Subway Takes. Who knows what Subway Takes is? Yeah, he's the guy in the subway. Kareem, I don't remember his last name. Anyway, he's a director, and he started this channel, Subway Takes, and he gets someone in a subway, and they have a lav mic hidden behind a Metro card.
It's a little social media phenomenon.
Yeah, it is. It's huge, and now there's millions. And now he's like he's a talk show. He's part of the talk show circuit, and he goes, "So what's your take?" And then the guy gives your take. So the guy's take was, "I should be mayor of New York City." He goes, 100%, I don't agree. And then so he gives him an opportunity to make his pitch. He made his pitch. I don't think, and then the election win is stunning. I don't think that there's anybody that wants to doubt that appearance on Subway Takes in front of 12 million people, probably a lot of them living in New York City because it takes place in the New York City subway, got that guy the votes that got him over. He didn't just win; he won in a fucking landslide. He buried Andrew Cuomo. He had people big money slandering his name in print, and all he had to do was go on and go, "What's your take?" "Oh, I should be mayor." "Oh, okay. Congratulations, you're mayor." He's not mayor yet, but he's still got to win a regular election. But he's there. He shouldn't even be there. And so the platform here, whatever it might be, if you think this country is fucked up, First of all, if you think this country's fucked up, let me hear you. If you want to speak truth to power, this is the way to do it. Or draw a comic book, or write a book of poetry that I'll go to. Or do something. Make your voice heard in whatever way you can, because that's what people pay attention to. When this is the anger. And we'll be going to Q&A pretty soon.
You're doing very well. You're very
Am I doing all right?
Yeah,
okay.
keep going.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for giving me permission. Just aside, I'll give you anger in a minute. This has really made me angry because on the way down to Oxnard, like 3 hours in, I'm letting her play her Spotify playlist, and then she gives me permission to listen to my own music in my fucking car. And I'm like, oh, thank you for giving me permission to listen to my own music in my own fucking car. But anyway, back to speaking truth to power. Back to being angry. If you're pissed off about the way things are, guess what? Protests are fine. You know what they want you in the streets. They want to fucking break your skull. They want to destroy your spirit. They want to throw you in jail. They want to take your picture. They want to fucking audit you. They want you in the streets so they can crush you. But if you make your voice heard through art, whether it's something like this, or singing on a street corner, recording an album and putting it out, doing a comic book strip, whatever it might be, make your voice heard, because that they cannot silence. And I'm not going to be quiet. My parents, well, okay, my mom actually was a big Mussolini fan. I can't really, what? Reel it back? Oh, no,
What was
okay.
the other thing you were going to say?
But my parents came here to this country because there was more opportunity here for them after the war kind of fucked up Italy. And actually, it wasn't too bad by the time they decided to come here, I guess. But they separately came here in different places and lived the immigrant's journey. And my dad joined the Air Force they told him to lie. They still tell people that this will help you become a citizen, and it's not. They lied to you. They lied to him, and that's fine, because for sure he apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently he opened the first pizza place in New Mexico. And when he was stationed there, and he was like, oh, him and a bunch of his other Italian friends opened a pizza place. He said, he told me the story. He's like, I couldn't sell pizzas, and then we started calling them Italian tortillas, and then we ran up flying out the door. I know, we're just anger and yelling. It's coming up to the Q&A. Are we okay?
I'm just checking your notes.
Did you want to say
I
anything
just
else?
see pizza was in your notes.
No, pizza's not in my notes. My dad's not in my notes. But at any rate, but my dad, I went after my mom died and we're cleaning out her house. I found some papers I didn't realize. It's like my dad was naturalized 2 years after I was born. 2 years after, and my mom never. Even though she got married to a citizen, not my dad. This is a whole story, but we're not going to go into it. But at any rate, now I think about that. I was like, shit, they would be shipping us out of the country right now. They'd have I'm in some people's eyes. I mean, I pass for white. I'm Italian, but I'm a white guy. But this, it's fucking ridiculous, because the people who came to this country, a lot of them, I'm going to say all of them, but a lot of them throughout history, they came and they contributed, and they paid the taxes, and they did the work, and they deserve their spot here. And there's one real, I know, I'm sorry. Now I've forgotten Emily's here. Who are you again? There's a simple solution to the immigration process, and number one is hire more fucking judges. It's that simple. Clear the backlog. Give people the legal way in that you say everybody should have. But don't create a backlog. Hire the fucking judges. Right? And yeah, okay, somebody who's a fucking pickpocket, send them out of the country. That's their thing. But
Get to the yelling.
I think I'm done yelling.
Get to more yelling.
I think Emily's looking at me too, like, wrap this shit up. Anyways, so at any rate, yeah, speak your truth to power in the way that you can do it. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your country. Go ahead.
Can I jump in?
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Who are you again? Emily Parent, everybody.
I think what I'm hearing here is that. So we started with the self-referential place of
liquor.
We started from the place of we have this podcast.
Yes.
We make these videos.
We do.
People are looking at us. People are showing up to events that we throw.
Sure.
We're not special.
This is one event. But yeah, people came. Thank you very much for coming.
But Bestie.
And they're watching Bestie.
We're not special. Anybody could do this.
Bestie?
Take a big breath in.
All right, continue. Sorry. Continue.
Anybody could do this.
Anybody can. Not me, but...
Well, you are doing it. Look at you.
No, I couldn't do this. You're the one that showed me that I could do this. Sorry, I'm going to go check the thing over here. Someone's spamming us from KFJC, and I'm really getting pissed at them. Stop it. If you can hear me, knock it the fuck off.
Don't yell at the chat. You can yell at the chat if you want, but I don't think it's going to be effective.
I'm an old man. I can't. There's no clouds out in the sky right now. I'm going to yell at the chat. Ah, you fucking piece of shit. God damn it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were saying. You were saying. No, you're right. Anybody can do this.
Here's the point. Hi, everybody. Hi. Happy Thursday night. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for coming out.
Here's
I know
what
you have
we're
better
saying.
things to do.
Anybody can make something out of nothing. In fact, you have no choice but to make something out of nothing. You are going to move forward. You're going to wake up in the morning and make choices. You can make something that means nothing to you. You could do that. You could build a whole career out of something that you forget about at 5 p.m. But if you're brave enough, you can make something that means something to you.
You can do both those things.
And something that reflects
You
how
can do all
feel.
those things. Everything is possible. You just have to have the desire. So fucking do it.
I think that's it, so fucking do it.
Yeah, fucking do it. There you go. All right, how are we doing there? Fucking do it. Should we open up the questions now?
Anybody have questions?
Do we have any questions? Wait, step up to the mic over there and identify your... No, we got a mic set up.
Here, wait, I know.
What are you doing? Do you have to go to the bathroom? What's going on?
So-
You're going to give him a cookie?
Yeah.
I'm going to have
So I
you
was gonna
know
train
it's
you
a
guys like little
vegan cookie.
puppies.
So it makes it immediately
I
suspect.
brought these cookies, so if you ask a really good question,
They're not trained dogs.
I'll give you a cookie.
Oh, here's a treat. Come give us a question.
Hi.
I will try to make the question better because of the cookie.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think it is
All
going
right.
to work.
Thank you, Matthew. Matthew Ritter. Let's give
Hi,
it.
Matthew.
Hi.
Author of Nova Phase.
Yes, and lots of other
stuff.
We don't need to necessarily talk about me because this is about you two.
Yes, okay.
And speaking to much earlier in the podcast, and you talked about SLG and such, and creative processes and getting your voice out and making comics, and how she utterly failed in her initial pitch to you. What?
Well, I wouldn't. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, she did. She fucked
exactly,
up big time.
Exactly. So, if somebody wants to get, let's go with the thing that you potentially know the best, comic books.
Okay.
If someone's going to pitch a comic book to a publisher,
Sure.
give everyone the advice. What's the best way to go about
That's okay. That's a really big question.
Huge, massive. Do
I
it in a
know that
minute,
may take
1
the
minute.
rest of the 15 minutes. What?
1 minute.
1 minute? What are you? That's rude. Did you catch that?
I did.
Holy shit. Matthew Ritter, everybody. All right. So one of the things, actually, this is relevant. So one of the things that I told Emily when she came in and made her pitch is you got to know who you're talking to, right? And less relevant with us, but more relevant to your point. If you've got a comic book that you've written, and we're going to stick to that because you said was it a good cookie, by the way? You want some water?
Yeah.
You good? There you go. All right. Don't throw
no.
this at him. Go give it to him. No, don't.
Can I have the other one?
Yeah.
I'm kind of thirsty. Thank you.
I need a little bit in there. I drink a little bit. Anyways, so know the industry that you're going to, know the people that you're going to, know what people publish and what people don't. So if you've got a superhero comic, for instance, you're not going to go to Drawn and Quarterly or Fantagraphics because they don't really do that unless they are somehow, unless your project is somehow kind of along their vein of sort of counterculture-ish sort of cutting-edge indie type of thing. Likewise, if you've got something that fits that vein, you're not going to go to DC Comics and say, hey, here's a comic I wrote about the 5 years where I was addicted to paying for sex. Like, they're not going to publish that book. And there's a comic that exists called Paying for It. I'm not even making this up. And it's a goddamn movie. And it's weird because the woman that directed the movie was the guy who wrote the comic's last non-sex worker girlfriend. So it's a very weird, I can't wait to see this film. But at any rate, the point being, first of all, know your industry, know the players, know what people do and don't do. If you're something that you're intending to own the rest of your life, you're not going to want to go somewhere where they're going to take all your rights. You want to make sure that the houses that you go to, this man knows, that the houses that you go to are going to let you own your shit, but that means, I'm going to make a lot less money, or maybe none, but that could be it. But you got to decide what's important to you, and then be somewhat realistic about your approach. Don't just think because you have an idea for a comic book that these people are waiting for you, because that's what their job is, because it's not necessarily so. They have plenty of places to go. Probably the longer a person's been in business, the more not resources, but the more contacts that they have with people who are artists that want to do work, and they don't need you. Nobody needs you, right? You need them when you're starting initially. When you're starting, you need them more than they need you, and then you get to be successful, and then you can tell them to go pound sand. But yeah, know your industry, know your business, know what the potential audience is for, and then be prepared to get to be shot down, like a lot. And sometimes when you get shot down, you run across someone like me that might write a note in the margins. If this were better, then I might publish it. So, well, I might have constructive criticism. I always try to give some constructive criticism to people who I was rejecting, unless it was garbage. And in that case, I probably said nothing. But yeah, know that, and then you could always self-publish. And in today's environment, self-publishing means I'm going to put my pages up on Instagram, and I'm going to build my audience that way. You have ultimate power. It's like the whole thing, especially now, distribution is shot to 6 ways to Sunday, or Friday, or Saturday, whatever day of the week it is. And so, you might be better off just if you create your own, put your shit on the internet, and then build your own audience, and then find a partner later on that will help you get to whatever is left of the comic book business. It's going straight to hell. All right. I think I'm done with that. More questions? Yeah, we got a guy, Little Jay from Santa Clara, California.
Hello. My question is for Emily Parent.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Jay.
Hi,
Hey,
Jay.
Emily.
Are you going to throw that cookie at him?
Please do, but
We'll see how good the question is.
once I'm done. With the gift of hindsight, can you now look back at your 20s and identify a time when you realized you were unhappy, and if so, what were the telltale signs that you ignored?
That's an excellent question.
Wow.
Thank you. I thought of it myself.
Jay Curian.
Thank you. Very good. Jay Curian of Cartoon Hearts. He'll be here July 18th.
Can I identify a time I wasn't happy, and what were the signs that I ignored? I think there was a period of time where I was working, I've referenced it a lot, a traditional 9-to-5 job where I'd wake up and either in an office or in a work-from-home environment, I would send emails for a long time. And I found myself kind of participating in problems that were being created for the sole purpose of being able to solve them. I don't know if anyone here has ever worked a job like that. Oh, Jay, by the way.
Wow.
Did you catch it?
No, it went to the floor. Wow.
I'll still eat it.
This floor is very clean. Thank you for that question.
Oh, yeah, this floor's clean. Good Lord.
Sorry. So the telltale signs was that I was waking up and I wasn't excited to be in my life. I was waking up and I was thinking, another day I'm going to get through. Another Wednesday that's going to get me to Friday, that's going to get me to the weekend where I'll probably have a drink. And that will be my fun. And I think what really flipped in my mind was when I got this break in being able to take a summer off and just focus on, I was doing two big things. I was writing my book, and I was teaching yoga classes, which unintentionally the yoga classes were to pay rent. But at the end of the day, I was also getting enough movement that I was feeling good in my body, and I was getting clarity in my mind, and I had something to leave the house for. And I realized that it actually is possible to wake up and be happy in your life. That it's not about getting through something, but it's about fully experiencing the life that you have right there in your hands. So the telltale signs that I ignored was waking up and not being happy and not thinking that there was a way to get to the other side of being happy. I did a lot of work in values. I dialed down into my values, and I sort of selected the values creativity and joy as the things that were my internal compass. And when I started to think about, does this thing make me feel creative and make me feel joyful, then everything became a very binary, easy choice. If that's helpful. Thank you, Jay, for the question. Do you want another cookie?
No, don't. No more throwing of the cookies. I'm going to have to sweep that shit up later. That's just not, no. If you want a cookie, you're going to have to come to the stage.
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
Follow-up question.
Okay.
How cute are me and Darren as a couple?
I think this is your problem.
Let me get a look at this. I would say, okay.
Oh, wow. Holy shit. You know what? It's not that kind of podcast.
This is an art
This is
boutique
not that kind of
homegrown couple.
podcast.
This is art boutique. I saw
This
these
is
two
not-
meet when I caused a mess on the floor, and Jay came to save it and thought it was anyway.
No. It's
I
fine.
didn't cause a mess like that way. I
No
just
more.
kicked a water bottle over.
Okay.
Anyway,
Any more questions from anyone, anywhere in the world? Hold on a second.
anyone in the chat?
I'm looking.
Joe Nakamura, what are you doing?
A real question.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it, Joe.
Hi, Joe Nakamura, long-time listener, first-time caller. But so, Emily, you start the story, it seems like every time, with walking into the art boutique. But I'm really interested in about the thought process about walking in here and what made you come into this place and want to approach Dan, and what was that like? What was in your mind? You're like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna walk in here. So what was your idea? What were you thinking? That's what I'd like to know.
What Justin says, what were you fucking thinking? Is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
This is so funny. I'm
What
going
are
to
you
answer
thinking?
it. I'm going to answer this honestly, even though before in the green room we were like, we're going to leave all that part out.
We were, yeah.
I was sitting at the Pete's the day that my book came out. The Pete's right around the corner. Sorry to give a corporate shout out. They didn't pay us money. I was sitting at a coffee shop around the corner, and I was doing my little book thing. I was
your
making
little
posts. It
book
was the
thing.
day that my book came out. And just out of nowhere, I had packed up my stuff, and I was ready to go. And I was like, that place, the art boutique, is around the corner. I've never been in there before, but I just have the weirdest feeling like I should walk in. I know that's not any basis of anything at all. But I sort of feel like I just got the feeling in my body that that was the next right thing to do, and I walked in. I sort of have this internal belief that if you feel called to walk through a door, there's probably something for you on the other side, so that's what we call in the yoga business intuition.
Oh, really? Wow, you guys yoga kids are deep.
But when I was getting into the last 2 or 3 weeks of publishing my book, people were saying, that's really exciting. What are you going to do after that? And I had no answer. So what I would say was, I don't know, but I'm climbing a mountain, and when I get to the top of the mountain, I will see where I'm going to go next. And so, sticking with that metaphor, on the day that my book came out, I got to the top of the mountain, and Dan Votto was standing on top, and he said, "Where have you been? You're late." And this was the next thing.
What?
Dan does not subscribe to all this.
I'm sorry, I was checking the chat here.
What's the chat say?
We got a question from Steph Schultz. Hey, Steph,
Hi, Steph.
in Texas. How you doing?
I'm going to say howdy to Texas.
What? Yeah. I don't think she's that kind of texter now. Comment if you are. I'm sorry.
Joe, do you want a cookie?
Hang on a second. You want? Steph is asking, what has surprised you both about the podcasting format? What surprises you? You've been involved in it longer than I have.
Well, I've been making podcasts since I was probably about 20. It was life advice for if anyone is listening to this in college. The grades don't matter. Just do stuff that seems fun. Nothing I did for my degree actually led to doing a job. It was the fact that I made a podcast in college and put it on my resume that led to all of my jobs. That's a side note. What surprised me about the podcast format, I didn't realize this when I was coming into work with Dan, but podcasting, if you had a circle and you had comic books on one end and you went to the exact opposite side of the circle, podcasting would be there, right? Comic books is a purely visual medium, purely visual storytelling medium.
Yep.
Podcasting is a purely auditory storytelling medium. So in a way, it was kind of like I came and forced this man to do a big 360.
Huh?
Stop looking at your
I'm
screen.
still looking at the...
You kids and your screens.
Somebody is... No, you kids and your screens. Oh, my God.
Dan, what surprised you?
You said, what's really funny is like everyone likes to talk about this interesting dynamic between the two of us. And so, but Emily summed it up. It's like the only reason that we ever really talk to each other is that we're using both of our phones for cameras, and we don't have our phones to go to when we're getting bored with each other, which really rarely happens. No, I'm just talking to the guy who's been bombing our comments on Facebook. I'll take this one question. Will you host my West Coast barrel organ, crank organ, fairground 16-bit Nintendo Classics music tour? Yes. Yeah, I'll do
your
that.
tickets for that.
It'll be on a Wednesday, but yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that just because you've been. The other thing is, no, I will not publish your coffee table book of homeless people.
This gentleman has a lot of requests.
You should see. He's going on and on. Oh, he's very happy. There you go.
That's just going on Facebook, huh?
That's on Facebook, yeah.
That's on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. There's my friends.
Who has another question?
Yeah, more because we may be reaching our time. Let's end on a high note. Give me a question. Anything at all.
You guys want pizza?
Later, yes. That's more okay. That's an announcement. But there, thank you. Any other? What?
What's next?
What's next? Oh,
a lot
very good.
coming up.
We're sort of expanding the idea of what we're doing. Talking to my friend in Oxnard, sort of opened up a cookie.
No,
Open up a cookie.
Scott, 'cause he has to
No.
text.
Don't do that. I swear to God, I will throw you out. We're not doing that. No. Oh, well, don't go in there. Holy shit. Just throw that the fuck away, Scott. That's got 12 years worth of urine on it.
For the live stream audience, it landed in the bathroom.
I kind of see, I don't know, we haven't really, what are you doing? Are you okay? Are you, yeah, you threw the cookie into the pea-soaked linoleum that the guy who installed it 12 years ago said, you'll be lucky if you get 8 months out of this. Because it was the cheapest shit I could find. What are you doing?
What's next?
What's next is that we're going to do more of, hopefully, I don't know, we're going to do more of the thing that we did with Scott, but we decided.
That yet.
Yeah, you haven't seen that yet or have heard that yet. But it was interesting because we invaded somebody's personal space to do it, and I came away as like, that's the way to do this.
I'm calling it participatory journalism. It's where
You can call it anything you want. We invaded someone's personal space.
It's where you go to somebody's house and
decided to
sleep in the
inform us
beds
that he
of
had
their children
cancer.
who are your same age, and you eat breakfast with them, and then you get the story.
It'll be a whole deal. I think I think that resulted in, like, you see these. I see these things. I don't know how you see them. He stopped.
It's because you agreed to host
I agreed to host his 16-bit nonsense. When when I watch these things or listen to these things, and I know they're in a studio and there are people are doing like even with the subway takes thing, which is very creative and fun, but it's still now it's a talk show and people do the circuit and you're not really getting anything from anyone. And I think there's something about, and maybe this only worked the one time and maybe the next time it won't work that well, but there's something about going in and say, hey, we're going to be part of your life for like a day. And we'll go out to breakfast, we'll go out to lunch, and we're going to set up in some place that is deeply invasive. And it could be your bathroom. Who knows? We'll see what people, and then we're going to ask you questions for a couple hours, and then we're going to leave, and we're not going to pay you. And she won't get paid either. But
I get paid in friendship.
she get paid in something. I don't know. At any rate, the thing is I have this tendency to follow kind of crazy, odd things, and this was weird here where we're sitting. How did this start? This started because I was publishing comics, and the recession hit, and I decided to roll back the company a little bit, and I had all this extra space. So I started letting people play music in the warehouse, and suddenly it became the Art Boutique. I have to have that faith in myself that if I follow that instinct, if I really believe it, and in this case I really do, that we can do something that it may not be the most successful or financially viable thing. I think it'll be all right, but once we get going. But we'll do something that people will talk about. And if people talk about you, then you never die. And I'm old. I'm really, really old. I'm Medicare old. And, I've got anywhere between 2 and 28 years left.
How old are you, Dan?
I'm 65. I just said I'm Medicare old. What are you doing? You fucking fucked up my maudlin bullshit. What's wrong with you? You could know. I thought we understood each other. When I go off on a tangent like that, you just let me go off. More yelling. All right. So that's what's next. I don't know. To be honest with you, yeah, we're gonna take this thing. And we're gonna go fucking places with it because I'm saying that because I know I believe it, and if I believe it, it will happen. And and at some point, within the next 3.5 years, I'm sorry, Emily, but I will probably drag you down with me as I start to rant and rave about the fucking fascists who are running this country and how we're going to take them down in the way that I know best, which is to just make people's voices heard. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. No. We got to do this. Remember?
I'm right there with you, Dan.
All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? We're going to end this shit show right now. We'll be followed by a dance party. Oh wait, Jay again? Oh. Jeez.
Hey guys.
Microphone check.
Is that what I sound like?
Huh?
Is that what my voice sounds like?
Yeah.
All right. Long time, first time.
You're asking
guys.
that now? This guy's played like a dozen shows here over the last 10 years. Is that what my voice sounds like? Jesus Christ, I'm awful. Don't throw another cookie.
I don't remember saying that second part, but thank you, Dan, for that. So in the spirit of building chemistry for this show going forward, what is one thing you would change about your co-host and why?
Wow, that's a big one. All right, let's hear it.
Why do I go first?
Because.
If I could change one thing about Dan Votto.
Yeah, here you go. Tread lightly.
I would show him how much he means to other people. And how much he helps people. Dan chronically doesn't know the impact that he has, even sitting here right now. I'd show him how important he is.
I don't even know how to answer that. What would I No, what would I? This is what I would change. The fucking vegan cookies that she's always. Here's something that's vegan. Here, eat this, and I'm like, no, I don't want it. Actually, yeah, there's very little about Emily that I would change. She made me do yoga once because I lost a bet, sort of. Huh? I go every week now. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. What would I change about Emily? I think I would make her more on time. Right?
Is this my performance review?
This is your review. You're always late. Always. So much so that I factor it into everything.
Okay.
All right, I think that's it. Unless somebody else has something else to say, I think we're going to unless you got a real question, Jay, stay in your goddamn chair. Anybody else? How about in the back? Anybody? All right, I think we're ending this. Can you cue up the music for the Unexpected Mentor? We're here every week, every Thursday. Every Thursday?
Yeah.
Every Thursday with a new episode. Lots of cool stuff coming up. We're here at the Art Boutique every weekend, except next week, of course, but in which case we will not be open. And I thank you for coming out. If you're online, thank you for watching us. And oh my God, I don't know this guy.
Bye.
This guy. Have a good night, everybody.
Are you staying up here? Are we leaving? Okay.
We're done. No, we're done. We're leaving.
We're leaving. Okay.